and welcome to another edition of Kaleidoscope right here on Channels Television. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. I'm Anne Nwawadu. On Kaleidoscope today, a chat with the CEO of the African Medical Center of Excellence, Brian Deaver, reveals the determination to improve Africa's health sector. Once again, welcome to Kaleidoscope. The African Medical Center of Excellence is a health institution located in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Let's find out more.
The African Medical Center of Excellence, AMCE Abuja, is a tertiary-level multi-specialty medical institution developed by Afreximbank in collaboration with King's College Hospital, London. It is setting new standards in specialty healthcare and patient experience across Africa. Established to address critical gaps, AMCE Abuja is dedicated to providing world-class care through innovative research, development, and education, delivering comprehensive services in oncology, hematology, cardiovascular care, and general health care, with plans for future expansion. The vision of AMCE is to shape a healthier and more educated future for Africa.
We now hear from the CEO of the African Medical Center of Excellence, Brian Deaver. What inspired the creation of the African Medical Center of Excellence? And of course, what's the experience been like for you since inception?
Thank you. Well, the African Medical Center of Excellence was a concept that Afreximbank developed to really accomplish three key things. One was the president of Afreximbank, President Benedict Orama, realized that there were too many people leaving not only Nigeria and West Africa, but the African continent to seek health care outside of Africa. And secondly, not only are people leaving the continent for health care, but the clinicians, the expert trained medical professionals are also leaving the continent. And then finally, a third key objective was to promote intra-African trade within the healthcare space. Now, the experience for us has been very rewarding and at the same time challenging, as you might imagine. So when the project was started, we looked at a gap analysis. What is it that Nigeria, West Africa, and indeed Africa needs? If you look at Nigeria, there are a lot of really good hospitals in Nigeria. And those hospitals will treat really everything across the board in terms of specialties. But what were the key areas that needed the most attention? And that's where we focused on non-communicable diseases, things that you can't catch from someone else. And those happen to be cardiovascular disorders, cancer, and then hematological disorders, blood disorders like sickle cell and leukemia. In the process of understanding what the needs are, we then set about identifying who are the partners that we need to be working with. If we want a world-class healthcare institution, truly world-class, not just the label, but indeed everything about us needs to be world-class, then we need to identify the right partners to be with. Afreximbank has been a fantastic financial partner. They've given us everything that we needed to do this right. But then who is our clinical advisor? We needed a top clinical advisor. We put that out to bid, looked at a number of options, and ultimately began working with King's College Hospital in London, which, as you know, is one of the top healthcare institutions in the world. They then reached out to the Christie Foundation in Manchester from a cancer perspective to help us with our oncology needs. We've got medical advisors that are both in the UK and in the US. And then within Nigeria, we have worked with government ministries, with other hospitals in the area. And so there are a number of stakeholders that will help us in becoming that world-class institution.
The center is one of the components of the health and medical tourism of Afreximbank, which is of course aimed at reducing brain drain and medical tourism in the country and in Africa. But how do you think that this center can significantly achieve reducing brain drain and medical tourism?
That's a great question. You know, over the years, throughout my career, as I look at the top medical institutions in the world, and I've worked with many of them, from NYU, MD Anderson, wherever you go, you will find in the top circle of the best doctors, Nigerians. Nigerian doctors, Nigerian nurses. And they are drawn to the challenge. They're drawn to delivering top care in the world. And so by bringing a facility and an organization like the African Medical Center of Excellence to West Africa, we know we're going to attract some of them back. And in fact, some of my team and I, for the last 2 years, have met with diaspora in the UK at the Royal College of Surgeons. Only people that were invited were Nigerian doctors and nurses. And we would have routinely 120, 130 doctors and nurses show up for that event. And we would speak, and then of course afterwards, what was intended to be maybe a 30 or 40 minute networking, it would always end up being 2 or 3 hours. And the College of Surgeons is trying to run us off at the end of the evening. Some of the comments that we would get from those doctors and nurses were, "We are so excited to see this come. We can't wait for it to open." And more specifically, what some of the doctors were looking for, they would mention governance. They look forward to a hospital where the medical staff bylaws are followed very strictly, where they can count on things being run appropriately. And so with partners like Afreximbank, and then more recently NNPC, Bank of Industry, they've also joined in as partners. With that sort of financial backing, we're able to not only bring in the technology that we need to attract these doctors and nurses, but we're able to keep it running and in great shape. And so from the technology that we're bringing in to the research and development that we'll be doing, Novartis, one of our partners from Switzerland, will be doing clinical trials. With the research, there'll be publications. These are all things that will attract these great doctors and nurses back home.
So share with us some of those initiatives or projects your organization has carried out or plans to carry out, if you haven't, to give back to society, because we take corporate social responsibility very seriously.
Yes, thank you. Well, you know, the opportunities to give back here are many. Aside from bringing in this clinical excellence into the country, we have many opportunities for development and training of staff. There will be staff that we train who have no medical skills, no medical experience at all. We will train them. We will make them medical personnel. We have met with the Council of Governors. We have plans to go out to each state and provide specialized training to the medical professionals in each of those states. Additionally, Afreximbank has developed a foundation, and that foundation, which has already received in the millions of dollars of donations, will be primarily to subsidize care for those who may not be able to afford it. It will be for funding research and some of the clinical trials we've talked about. It'll be used for education, and then it'll also be used for providing capital, specialized equipment for medical facilities in the area. The other thing that we are excited about are the community outreach opportunities. One of our favorites is with the Woomba village out in Apo. So our hospital sits in Apo, and there's a big rock behind it. On the other side of the rock is the Woomba village. And in fact, we've employed about 150 members of their village. I've got a great relationship with the chief. And once a quarter, we meet with the village. We usually have anywhere from 80 to 100 members of the village. They'll come out and we'll give free health care advice. We'll do biometric screenings, check blood pressure, blood sugar, that sort of thing. And then we bring specialists there to provide free counseling and consulting for those who have issues that they want to talk about. Out of those outreach opportunities, we've had a number of members of whichever community we're in to receive free surgeries to correct whatever was bothering them, whether it's removal of a lipoma. In one case, I know we surgically repaired a hernia that a woman had been suffering from for a while. And these are great stories that motivate us and motivate our staff, and that we'll continue doing and doing more of. The other thing is we are working closely with patient advocacy groups. So Dr. Zainab, who runs the Medicaid Foundation, which is cancer oriented here, we partner with organizations like that, with the Medical Society, to also work with the communities.
How would you describe the health sector in Nigeria, and what do you think are the challenges, the problems, and if there are, what are the solutions?
One of the first things that I think Nigeria has struggled with is keeping its superb physicians and nurses and other clinical professionals at home. I think more is being done. I know that the Ministry of Health has initiatives to bring them back home. You've got the Diaspora Commission that is also working on that, and we're working closely with both of them. So I know that keeping the professionals here, that's one challenge that we're addressing. And quite frankly, we have seen with our first round of hiring with about 450 staff. By the end of the first 12 months, we'll be over 1,100 staff, many of whom are coming back home. So aside from the brain drain that we're trying to address, you've also got investment. And so the economy, which the government is working hard to correct and to really right that ship, needs to improve, and it will continue to improve. I'm encouraged by the stabilization of the exchange rate. And we lost a couple of important manufacturers in the last 2 years that have been here for decades. And the hope is that we will see manufacturing, particularly in the health sector, come back. I think that's important not only for jobs, but to keep our costs down on supplies and equipment, that sort of thing. Outside of that, as you look at Africa as a whole, Nigeria leads in so many areas. Not only is it the most populated, but it's arguably number one in culture, number one in resources, economy. It's number 5 in healthcare. And so I think that we've got more that we can do in Nigeria. I think that's going to be delivered both by government resources as well as private. And as we continue to make investment in Nigeria and West Africa, we'll see that turn and we'll rise up to number 1, where Nigeria probably should be. I was very pleased last year during our first African Health Forum. There was a big announcement between the Ministry of Health and Afrexim Bank. Afrexim Bank allocated $1 billion to the healthcare sector in the form of funding of any businesses, particularly manufacturing, who wants to establish themselves here.
We have more for you on Kaleidoscope, but that's in a moment when we return. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Kaleidoscope on Channels Television. Let's continue the conversation now with the CEO of the African Medical Center of Excellence, Brian Deaver. Well, we've seen cases of misdiagnosis in Nigeria and even in the best hospitals in the country, even in the best diagnostic centers in the country. Even I have been a victim of that, so I'm sure it's not new. So many people must have. How well do you use technology, first to ensure that this doesn't happen in your center, and of course to curb it, because I know you're working with several other hospitals across Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you. You know, first, let me say that misdiagnosis can occur anywhere, and I've been a victim of it as well in the U.S. And so, in a very good hospital. Some of that comes down, just technology aside, comes down to people and physicians being willing to do what is required to exhaust the possibilities and understand really what's happening with the patient, to listen and not be so quick to jump to assumptions. And so the better able we are to create that attitude among clinicians that we need to listen to the patient. We need to use every resource available to us to explore and diagnose. We will eliminate some of the misdiagnosis, which can occur anywhere. Now, in terms of what are we doing, part of that is being addressed by who we're bringing to this facility. So the recruitment that we're doing, which is being handled by King's College of London, so they're helping us recruit globally, as well as Deloitte Consulting. They're also helping us recruit globally. Bringing the right people in, who then have the right technology, and then the right clinical pathways. So King's College Hospital and the Christie Foundation, they are helping us establish the DNA of the hospital. We're bringing in technology that in many cases doesn't currently exist, not only in Nigeria, but even in West Africa. And the technology in the hands of the right clinicians will help us to be very accurate, very specific on diagnoses. Some of that will include things like 3 Tesla MRI, PET CT, PET positron emission tomography. So you marry up radioactive isotopes with a CT or computed tomography technology, and we can make cancer light up. We can spot it very quickly and much earlier than would have been possible without it. And then there are other technologies and therapies that we'll employ. So those are all critical. One of the things that is important that we're bringing in is what's called a cyclotron. Now the cyclotron is a particle accelerator. The walls of the bunker are about 2 meters thick, concrete. And this is to contain what we're producing in there. And those produces our radioactive isotopes for introducing to patients, and then bringing them through that PET CT will help us diagnose cancer much earlier and much more accurately. But it's technology, it's people, it's protocols. Yeah.
What makes the African Medical Center of Excellence stand out from other medical facilities in the country?
Yeah. Well, I will first pay respect to the other medical centers in the country. You have some very, very talented individuals and very capable hospitals in Nigeria. And we are fortunate to be partnered with them and collaborate with them. In terms of what sets us apart, we're narrowly focused. So we didn't want to compete with these other great hospitals in Nigeria. We wanted to fill in gaps. And the gaps have to do with those non-communicable diseases that we talked about. So oncology, cancer, cardiovascular services, and then hematology, blood disorders. And so what we want to do is work with those other hospitals. Whatever they're not able to treat, we can. Above that, I would say it's our people. Where did our people come from? Our people are mostly Nigerians. We're bringing them back home, but they're also coming from right here. And the culture that we establish in the African Medical Center of Excellence is unique. That culture is one in which we say patients are going to come second. Our staff comes first. If we take care of our staff, acknowledge and provide them with the resources that they need, we congratulate them on their successes, on their development, and set the right expectations for them so they know what's expected of them and support them, they're going to do everything we need them to do for the patient. We won't have to worry about it.
How well are you planning to work with partners, maybe a collaboration to ensure interested parties and yourself improve the health sector in the country?
That is a critical component of what we need to be successful. We cannot do it alone. As we look at our stakeholders and partners out there, we start first with the financial piece. And so many times in the U.S. when I've met with or advised not-for-profit facilities, I have to remind them, no money, no margin, no medical care, no mission. And so the fact is that facilities need to be financially viable to be able to continue supporting the communities and providing the care we need to provide. So you look at the FCT right here. There are district hospitals in the area. We've met with most of them. We want to work very closely with them. As a specialty hospital, our patients don't walk in off the street. They're referred to us by other hospitals. And so we'll need to have that collaborative relationship, not competitive, collaborative relationship with other hospitals and institutions in order to survive and in order for us to see the people that need to see us. Additionally, I've already mentioned patient advocacy organizations like Medicaid, and you've got other cancer foundations, cardiovascular, heart associations, hematology associations, the medical society, ministries of health, both state and federal. All of these institutions are important pieces to what will make us successful. We will not get there without them.
With a groundbreaking ceremony done back in 2021 by the then President Muhammadu Buhari, and operations just beginning, you're just setting the table now, where do you see this center in the next years in terms of you're doing business, your operations here, and of course what you are going to do to give back to society? Where do you see this center?
Yeah, you know, when I arrived in Nigeria, the facility was a hole in the ground, and it has been rewarding watching the development, watching the jobs creation, watching my team come together. Very proud of them. For me, results are one thing, results that you can feel, that's one thing. Patients describing and family members describing the experience that they had in our facility, that's extremely rewarding. At the end of the day, I want to see the numbers. I want to see the medical tourism that the $1 billion that's leaving this area every year in our three specialties. I want to see that not only stopped, I want to see it reversed. I want to see people from China, from India, from Europe, UK coming here because of our expertise, because of our research, our training, our publications, our innovation. Additionally, it's important to note that AMCE, African Medical Center of Excellence, Abuja, is the first. This is the flagship. In the old days, in a fleet of ships, the flagship was the first to lead. We're the first of at least 5 of these campuses to be developed throughout Africa. And so what that means is we will have an African Medical Center of Excellence, likely to begin in Cameroon. Another one, we've met with the Minister of Finance in Tanzania, and there are several other countries within Africa, within separate sub-regions that are looking to add an African Medical Center of Excellence. So over the next few years, we're going to see a number of these pop up to make sure that Africans everywhere have access to these capabilities. I may have started this. I want to see 10 CEOs pop out of this thing and begin to run other hospitals. We want to see new doctors. So in November of 23, we announced, in conjunction with King's College of London, the development of both a medical school and nursing school. And there'll be allied health as well. So on that same campus, we will have an academic institution training new doctors, new specialists, new nurses. You ask what's to come? The best. The best is yet to come. We're going to lower the rate of mortality, particularly in diseases related to those 3 specialty areas. We will, this year, be able to not only treat sickle cell, we'll be able to cure it permanently with our stem cell lab. In Nigeria, where the mortality rate is 50% among some types of cancers, it's only 18% in the U.S. We need to close that gap. We'll close it by the community outreach, earlier screenings. We want to catch patients when they're in stage 1 or 2, not stage 4. And so earlier detection, better information to the communities, helping schools and communities understand what they need to be doing in terms of screenings, developing our people, keeping our superb clinicians from leaving Nigeria, keep them home, develop this as a healthcare hub for Africa. That's what we want to be.
Well, that's it on Kaleidoscope for today, but you know it's never goodbye because you can watch past editions or repeat this one on youtube.com/channels web, click on playlists, then go to the search engine and click on Kaleidoscope and enjoy your time with it. I'll definitely see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu.